What's going on, everybody? I'm Josh Meek, the Uber Geek. Thank you very much for joining me here on Pretty Dece, your daily entertainment and pop culture podcast. Again, glad you're here if you are listening on Anchor or in podcast form, but if you are watching the video version on YouTube, which you can find by searching for Pretty Dece on YouTube or visiting prettydeceshow.com/video and following the link there, then you would see this amazing headband that I'm sporting, and you might wonder why I'm wearing this headband, and I will tell you. I went to a live pro wrestling show today, just got back, and this headband was given away. This is an actual Zubaz headband. So if you're a big fan of wrestling, you know that Zubaz is a brand that's all around wrestling, and they gave these ridiculous headbands out. And I thought it looked so good in it that I had to drive through McDonald's wearing this, and then I had to run around the house here, and frankly, I decided I couldn't deprive you people of seeing this amazingness. So, this and more when you watch the video version of Pretty Dece. Let's get into the show today. Why don't we? DC, I think that their movie situation, while maybe not 100% quality that they've put out so far in movie versions, up to the level of Marvel, it's certainly interesting. They're certainly doing some interesting, cool stuff. And I think one of the things that at least is rumored that's in the works for them that will be very interesting is a Nightwing movie. So the news here, let's get to that first, and then we'll talk about Nightwing. The news here is that the long-rumored Nightwing project that is in development, Dacre Montgomery is apparently vying for that role, the starring role as Nightwing. Now, you will know Dacre from a couple different things. You will know him, obviously, from Stranger Things Season 2, where he plays Billy Hargrove, the quite literally too cool for school new bully that shows up with his, awesome hair and his cool car and his loud music. He's fantastically over the top in all of the best ways in Stranger Things Season 2. Now, if his face looks familiar to you in Stranger Things Season 2, it's because he also played Jason Lee Scott in the Power Rangers movie that just came out recently. So the Power Rangers reboot film. Now, that movie didn't do so hot in the theaters, and it kind of got some mixed reviews. But I think Dacre did a really great job as the Red Ranger, and honestly, that movie's really good. I really liked it. You have to go in knowing it's a Power Rangers movie, but if you are a fan of Power Rangers, that's definitely a film to go see. It's not perfect. It has things that I would definitely change about it, but it was certainly really, really fun, and I liked it a lot. So, I've really enjoyed everything that I've seen Dacre in so far. Granted, he's a very young actor, and he's very new, but he seems to be vying for this role of Nightwing. He tweeted out and then promptly deleted a photo of Nightwing. Didn't have any caption. He didn't say anything else with it. Just included an ellipses, a ... So, clearly trying to either drum up support for him playing that role, or he's hinting that he's already been cast in that role. It could be either of those things. So let's talk about Nightwing. If you are, a follower of the DC movie universe, but maybe you're not as big into the comics, you might not know who Nightwing even is. He really hasn't gotten, a ton of play outside of the comics and the other DC media. Of course, there have been animated movies and stuff like that, but he hasn't quite gotten the love that Nightwing deserves. Nightwing, if you don't know, is Dick Grayson, who was the very first Robin, Batman's very first sidekick. So Robin, as he grew up, kind of became his own man. He discarded the Robin mantle and took up the mantle of Nightwing and became his own superhero. Kind of moved out to his own city and became his own man. And Nightwing, in a lot of ways, is kind of the polar opposite of Batman. Obviously they're a family. They have a lot in common. They're both superheroes. They're both, fighting for justice. They don't believe in killing people. But, Dick Grayson, a lot of ways, approaches things from a humor aspect, and he kind of is more towards the Spider-Man realm of things, where he loves to joke around and stuff, and his fights, he's not as brooding as Batman is. And I've always really liked Dick Grayson. I've always really liked, stories involving him. I think he's a great character. I really like how he's written most of the time. And the time when he was Batman, when Batman was dead, it's a long story, don't ask, those were some of my favorite Batman stories. I think that putting Dick Grayson in that role of Batman, thrusting him into that forefront, was really cool. He felt the weight of the mantle of being Batman, but then also made it his own, and that was a really neat take on the character. And watching him interact with Damian, who was the current Robin at the time, it was fantastic. I really liked the kind of big brother, little brother aspect that they had going on, and it made for some really great comics. And I really, really like Dick Grayson just in general. And his solo stuff as Nightwing is usually really, really good. Some of the stuff that I've read, most recently deals with his stuff in the circus, because obviously, Dick Grayson, he was a circus performer when he was young. So, they dive into some of the stuff with like the circus that he was in when he was a child and stuff. Really, really interesting stuff that Nightwing solo books get into. So who knows what route they would take with this movie, whether they would try to go a little bit more in a humorous route, maybe tackle some of that Guardians of the Galaxy style comedy that Marvel does so well, or if they would keep it serious, or, if they would set it in Bloodhaven, which is very often the Nightwing home base, or if they would keep it in Gotham, and, lots and lots of questions about what a Nightwing movie would be. But Dacker here is certainly excited about the prospect of being Nightwing. I guess he just wants to check off as many superheroes as he can. Started with the Red Ranger, and why don't we just move on to Nightwing? So yeah, I mean, I fully support his play to become Nightwing. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. So call in if you are listening in the Anchor app. Leave a comment if you're watching on the video version. Let me know who you think would be good playing Dick Grayson. Who would you like to see as Dick Grayson on the big screen? I would love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your ideas. Let's brainstorm this. It sounds pretty cool. So that's going to do it for Pretty Dece for today. Thank you very much for joining me. Be sure to like Pretty Dece on Facebook. You can find that at facebook.com/PrettyDeceShow. Follow me on Twitter. That's at PrettyDeceShow. Of course, visit PrettyDeceShow.com. Check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/PrettyDeceShow. Pretty easy to find wherever you are looking. So I'll be back tomorrow for another episode. Until then, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss a daily episode.